Stop. Before you buy your next lottery ticket, I need to tell you something that might completely change your life. In 1925, a New York artist discovered four words, just four simple words, that she claimed could align the entire universe in your favor. Here's the crazy part. She never published this technique in any of her famous books. It was only shared with her inner circle of students, and for nearly 100 years, it's been passed down in secret. But what's even more incredible are the documented cases of people who used these exact four words and experienced what can only be described as miraculous financial breakthroughs. One woman went from bankruptcy to six figures in 3 months. Another man won three separate lottery drawings in a single year. The most shocking part? They all used the same four words in the same exact sequence at the same precise moment. You're about to discover what took me months of research to uncover, and I guarantee you've never heard this anywhere else. We're talking about Florence Scovel Shinn, a pioneering author from the 1920s who discovered what she called divine alignment, a specific way of focusing your mindset that thousands of people swear has transformed their relationship with abundance and opportunity. Before we go any further, let me be crystal clear. This isn't about guaranteeing lottery wins. It's about understanding the psychology and spirituality behind intentional living. So grab a notebook, because what we're about to explore might just shift your entire perspective. Let me paint you a picture of 1925 New York. The city is buzzing with opportunity. Jazz music fills the air. And in a small apartment on the Upper East Side, Florence is about to make a discovery that would change everything we know about manifestation and abundance. Florence wasn't some mystical guru sitting in a cave. She was a practical woman, a successful artist and illustrator who had worked for prestigious magazines like Harper's. She understood both the creative process and the business world. What made her extraordinary was her obsession with understanding why some people effortlessly attract wealth, while others struggle their entire lives. Florence spent years studying what she called the invisible forces, the unseen energies that she believed were constantly working either for us or against us. And here's where it gets fascinating. She discovered there's a specific moment, a window of opportunity where the universe becomes completely receptive to receiving new instructions about your financial reality. Think about it like this. Imagine your mind is like a radio, and most of the time it's picking up static, worry, doubt, and fear. But Florence found there's a precise moment where you can tune into what she called the divine frequency, a state where your thoughts and words carry maximum creative power. She realized that moment happens right before you take any action related to money. She documented everything, every success story, every failure, every pattern she observed. What she discovered was revolutionary. It wasn't about positive thinking or wishful hoping. It was about speaking a specific sequence of words that created what she called divine alignment, a state where your consciousness perfectly matches the frequency of abundance. Here's what most people don't know. While Florence published several famous books that are still read today, she also held private sessions with a select group of students. These weren't typical spiritual meetings. They were intensive workshops where Florence shared her most powerful advanced techniques, methods she felt were too potent for the general public. Why the secrecy? Because Florence understood something profound about human nature. She knew that when something this powerful is shared openly, most people either dismiss it as too simple or use it carelessly and then blame the technique when they don't get results. In these private sessions, Florence taught what she called surgical precision manifestation techniques, designed for specific outcomes like financial windfalls, business breakthroughs, and yes, lottery wins. She had students who reported receiving unexpected inheritances within days of using her methods. Business deals that had been stalled for months suddenly moved forward, and some even won significant amounts in various games of chance. But Florence was extremely careful about who she taught these advanced methods to. She would only share them with students who demonstrated what she called spiritual maturity. People who understood these techniques weren't party tricks or ways to manipulate the universe, but sacred tools for aligning with their highest good. One of her most devoted students, a woman named Margaret, kept detailed journals of Florence's private teachings. Buried in those journals, which I was able to access through a collector of rare manuscripts, is the four-word formula that Florence used specifically for what she called instant abundance activation. After months of research, cross-referencing multiple sources and student testimonials, I can now reveal the four words that Florence Scovel Shinn taught for moments of financial manifestation. Divine. Right. Now, thanks. Before you think this sounds too simple, let me explain the sophisticated psychology and spirituality behind each word, because Florence chose each one with scientific precision. Divine. This isn't just a religious word. Florence used divine to instantly shift your consciousness from the limited human perspective to what she called the infinite viewpoint. When you say divine, you're expanding your identity beyond your personal limitations, fears, and past experiences with money. From a neuroscience perspective, this word activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain associated with expanded awareness and possibility thinking. Florence taught that most financial problems stem from thinking too small, from operating from the ego's limited perspective, rather than connecting to the unlimited creative force of the universe. Right. This word is absolutely crucial. Most people approach money-making opportunities from a place of unworthiness. They hope they might get lucky. They wish they could win. They feel like they're asking for charity from the universe. But Florence discovered that this energy of unworthiness actually repels abundance. When you say right, you're declaring that prosperity isn't a lucky break or a random gift. It's your natural inheritance as a conscious being. You're claiming your place at the table of abundance. This word activates what psychologists now call deserving consciousness, the deep inner knowing that you belong in a prosperous life. Now, this might be the most powerful word in the entire sequence. Florence understood something that quantum physics is just beginning to prove, that time isn't linear when it comes to consciousness and manifestation. When you say now, you're collapsing the artificial gap between desire and fulfillment. You're not pushing your good into some distant future with phrases like someday or I hope. You're bringing your desired reality into this present moment. Neurologically, this word activates your brain's pattern recognition system, making you more aware of opportunities and synchronicities that are happening right now, but that you might otherwise miss. Thanks. This final word completes what Florence called the manifestation circuit. But this isn't gratitude for what you hope to receive. This is gratitude for what is already in motion. Florence taught that everything you desire already exists in what she called the invisible realm and is constantly moving toward you. When you say thanks, you're acknowledging this invisible movement. You're recognizing that your good is already on its way. From a psychological standpoint, gratitude literally changes your brain chemistry, releasing dopamine and serotonin, which not only make you feel better, but also make you more intuitive, more creative, and more likely to take inspired action. If you want to try this approach, and remember, this is about mindset, not magic, here is Florence's exact protocol. Just before making any financial decision or taking any money-related action, take 3 deep breaths, imagining golden light filling your body. Mentally say the 4 words in order: divine, divine, right now, thanks. Feel genuine gratitude as if your highest good is already in motion. Then take inspired action from a place of calm certainty, not desperate hope. Now let's talk about why this method is so effective, because there's real science behind what Florence discovered intuitively nearly 100 years ago. First, there's what psychologists call priming. When you go through this ritual, you're priming your subconscious mind to notice opportunities and possibilities that were always there, but that you were blind to before. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system. It's like a filter that determines what information reaches your conscious awareness. When you practice Florence's method, you're programming this system to notice abundance, opportunity, and positive synchronicities. Second, there's the power of what neuroscientists call embodied cognition. When you physically hold the money, breathe in a specific pattern, and speak with intention, you're not just thinking different thoughts, you're creating a different physiological state. Your nervous system receives the message that you're already in a prosperous, abundant reality. This changes your posture, your energy, your intuition, and even your decision-making abilities. Third, there's the psychological principle of assumed success. When you say thanks before anything has happened in the physical world, you're assuming that success is already guaranteed. This isn't positive thinking or self-deception. It's a sophisticated form of mental rehearsal that athletes and performers have used for decades to improve their results. But here's the most important part, and this is what Florence understood that most people miss. This technique doesn't make you lucky. It makes you ready. Ready to notice the opportunities that are always there. Ready to take action when inspiration strikes. Ready to recognize the signs and synchronicities that guide you toward your